Hey guys, I just wanted to do a video, just start talking and rambling, theological talking and things I've been learning lately. Pretty amazing stuff. Um, Today I finally finished the writings of Abraham, and I've also been working on publishing that book of the prophet Elijah, and I've been working on the preface and writing that, and I gotta say, guys, I know a lot of people don't like that book and don't like, it's too orthodoxy and there's a lot of conflicting disagreements with that book, but it really requires a lot more discernment to understand where the validity of this mysterious text is coming from. Number one, and this is what I started writing about. Number one, you need an understanding of the book of Yashar. You need an understanding of the writings of Abraham. You need an understanding of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Just right off the bat, the three right off the bat. And what I've noticed is this book of the prophet Elijah, which came out of nowhere. Our brother Jake Grant found it in the corners of the internet. No one knows anything about it, where it came from. It's amazingly connected to contextually, it's amazingly connected to the Dead Sea Scrolls. It's also even more amazingly and even more directly connected to the writings of Abraham. And both of those texts, I don't think these texts are even related to each other. And the book of Yashar is also connected to the writings of Abraham as well. And the book of Jubilees. Now, a lot of people are going to, I know people come against the book of Jubilees and Yashar because there are small discrepancies in these texts. And yeah, things get lost in translation in time. But I got to say, just to defend the book of Jubilees, when I was reading the book of Jubilees and I was reading about the birth of Abraham, I was going to do a video on this. I was like, wait a minute, as I'm reading the text, number one, I could tell Moses wrote that text. You could tell it's the same author that wrote the book of Genesis. It's the same author. And as I was reading, yes, I'm under attack. As I was reading the book of Jubilees about the birth of Abraham, in the book of Jubilees, I'm reading the text and I'm like, wait a minute, this is a prophecy, like hidden in the text. This is a prophecy, a deep prophecy. And I was going to do a video on it, but I didn't think people would receive it. And like, maybe I'm just overthinking, like looking for things that aren't there. And lo and behold, while I was reading the writings of Abraham, it absolutely confirmed the prophecy that I saw hidden in the book of Jubilees. I'm just making an example. And it's a really cool prophecy about the birth of Abraham. Abraham, when he was born, there were big signs in the stars. And his father was a servant under Nimrod and was a big idolater, right? Most people understand that right off the bat. And when Abraham was born, there was all these prophecies in the stars. And, his father just thought he's going to be the seed to to multiply the pagan nations and all that stuff. And we all know what Abraham did. It's just funny how Yahuwah turns the ways of the wicked upside down, as the book of Psalms says. It's just such a cool prophecy, and how it was turned totally against the wicked. What they thought, it was just cool. And, when I was reading the book of Jubilees, I literally saw that. I'm like, whoa, this is an amazing prophecy hidden in the text. And, I thought, maybe I'm overthinking and looking for things that aren't there, but the writings of Abraham confirmed it. And my jaw was just dropped. Anyway. So I just wanted to say that kind of in defense of these texts a little. Anyway, so I finished the writings of Abraham, and it's astounding. I don't know where these texts came from. That book of the prophet Elijah should be published, and I'm working on it. And this is my understanding, guys, about this order of Enoch. Okay, and a lot of people don't like this. It's too orthodoxy, and you can't have people telling us what God is saying, and And it's just misconceptions of the text. It's misconceptions of the idea. It really is. Number one, of course, we are all saved by grace, right? Through faith, not by works, except any man should boast, except we are called to do good works. Everyone leaves out the next verse. We are called to do good works. But what I'm saying is, this order of Enoch, it's only called the order of Enoch because Enoch really reestablished it in his day. It was ordained, from my understanding, it was ordained from the foundation of the world. Before creation, it was ordained by Yahuwah himself. We read about it in our Bibles in Hebrews 12, verse 23. It's blatantly there. We could see it in the Messianic oath of Zechariah 3. We could see it in the book of Revelation. We could see it throughout the book of Psalms. The assembly, the congregation. It's the same thing. And what people did, because we are under the spirit of Belial, we are in the devil's domain in this world. So people in ancient times, it was ordained by Yah to live separately, to be amongst our brethren. These are all New Testament doctrines, guys. This is New Testament theology that was established and a staple in the times even before the flood. Okay? So it was ordained that the people who wanted to live righteously and follow Yah lived amongst each other like an Acts 2 type of church. This was Yahuwah's rule, ordained from the foundation of the world. Enoch really established it in his day, and it was passed on through his generations. Abraham, as a little kid, was discipled under Noah and Enoch and all those guys, and Abraham took that mantle. He passed it on to Isaac, and we even see in these lost Psalms of David, the hymns of thanksgiving, that it even went all the way on through the times of David. And when we read about this stuff, it's clearly a reflection of the Acts 2 church. The Acts 2 church wasn't a new invention after the crucifixion and resurrection. It was just a restoration of things of old from before the flood. It's just a restoration. And we see it in the prophecies for our future. It doesn't mean that you have to live by all these holy laws and you're not saved and you got to get kicked out of the kingdom. There is we have a God of order. There is an order of holiness. And as this book of as the rules say to this order of holiness, let those live. If they feel like they're being under too much of an orthodoxy, let them live by the meditations of their own heart. And if they feel like they could be living to a more holy order, then they should let them advance. And this order is established, through into the temple, from the outer courts to the temple, okay, to the Holy of Holies. It was like this in the temples of Jerusalem as well. I believe this orderly hierarchy is established to keep corruption out. Because what does the devil do? The devil creeps in unawares and says, yeah, I'm a believer, and takes the high positions. And the next thing you know, your whole church is corrupted. The whole system is corrupted. So the stuff makes sense, guys. And it takes, you really need an understanding and meditation of if you're able to even receive the book of Yashar, the book of Jubilees, the writings of Abraham, and the Dead Sea Scrolls, to even understand where this book of the prophet Elijah is coming from. But I noticed the writings of Abraham and this mysterious book of both of these texts, who knows where they came from, they're absolutely run parallel to each other and to the Dead Sea Scrolls. We can confirm it through the book of Yashar, through Jubilees, and that just opens the door to seeing this stuff in our own Bibles, because it's a hidden thing. And we don't even know where these texts came from. The Dead Sea Scrolls, the writings of Abraham, this lost book of the prophet Elijah, they're all seemingly isolated, unrelated texts, yet they're severely connected contextually. It's really amazing. It's really amazing. So I want to publish this book of the prophet Elijah. I'm working on it. I've never formatted a book before and all that kind of stuff. So it's frustrating. I don't know. I also have other worries. I am highly censored. Now, anybody who has donated to my webpage, number one, your acronyms or whatever, the evil acronyms, FBI, CIA, or whatever, they highly censor me, including my funds. I don't get those donations. They probably go into their bank accounts, but I am not telling people not to donate. That's something what I got from Yah, because He will repay, He will restore in the time to come. So if I start selling books, I don't know what's going to happen. Are people going to make orders? Are they just going to disappear and I'll never get the orders? They spend the money, get sucked up, and I have no control over this stuff because I'm censored. Anything I can do is in Yah's hands by His grace. So I don't know, but I know I'm doing the right thing. I'm guarding His word, so I'm going to publish these books. I want to do in the Lost Psalms of David. I plan to publish this stuff in a book, and just give it, and Yah will make a way. So I don't want to discourage anybody from donating to the website. If anybody has, I've never got the money, but I will get it later. It will come back to the kingdom later. So that's all I know. So don't refrain from anything, but I'm highly censored. Whatever, man. It's just never enough. They rape our families, they murder our families, they steal our incomes. It's just ongoing and ongoing, and it's never enough. They just keep pushing. Even here, I'm getting more harassment here in New York City from the FBI. From, not everyone in the FBI is evil, but the ones who are, it's just, the same demonic type of harassment with helicopters and all that kind of stuff. So we just pray against that and rebuke that in Yahushua's name. But that's what's going on with me in my understanding. I'm really looking forward to publishing this lost book of the prophet Elijah. And I know a lot of people don't receive this stuff. And a lot of people our mainstream understanding of Christianity is like, yes, we got the stepping stones of the gospel, but there's more to it than that, guys. And it doesn't mean we're not saved by grace. It's just, you need an understanding. It's something we will see in our future. Okay. And yes, we all want to feel loved. We all want to be, but last thing I want to say is what I do understand, like I'm reading these books, right? Of the book of the prophet Elijah, the writings of Abraham, in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Whoever is writing these books, whatever is going on, you could tell they are hearing from Yahuwah. They are hearing from Yahuwah. And the writings of Abraham actually verify these anomalies, these textual anomalies, because they say those who did live in their Acts 2 type of church and set themselves apart from the heathen nations and lived amongst each other and shared their own possessions and, did all the things we're supposed to be doing in the New Testament, and this is way before the flood, Yahuwah did fall on that community and ministered onto them. That's why we have these inspired prophecies out of the Dead Sea Scrolls, why this book of the prophet Elijah, I wouldn't be surprised if Elijah actually wrote that text. I wouldn't be surprised, because from my studies, there's nothing invalid in that text. We don't like it in our mainstream understanding of Christianity, like, whoa, everything's at the cross, we're saved by grace, but there's more to it than that, guys. And it's misreading the text as well. There's a lot of grace in these rules and all that, and those rules are just man-made rules to establish an order, If you don't like the rules, you live according to the desire of your own heart. That's what the rules say, And the word I got from Yahuwah about people who don't feel comfortable in these books or in these texts, in this order of Enoch type of thing, it's really a love of sin. why they don't like it in their hearts. And we all have sin, guys, but you always have to factor in grace. Just because we have grace, it doesn't mean we can do whatever we want. We are called to live by virtue, okay? And we have that grace to live according to our own desires of our hearts. It's just a matter of how much we love Yahushua, If we love him, we'll do his commandments, I don't know. It's just an individual thing. So this is where I'm coming from. I'm just ranting. I just wanted to talk because this stuff is, I'm just astounded at what I'm finding. And I just want to recommend, if people are interested, and I know a lot of people criticize where I'm going and all that kind of stuff, and in my learning process, it's a discernment, guys. You need an acceptance and an understanding of the extra biblical text. You need to understand how they're valid and stuff just to receive this stuff. And but I know this stuff is biblical truth. I know it is. And it's really amazing to be able to uncover this stuff and just guard and defend and try to preserve Yahuwah's word. So that's where I'm at. I have so many projects I want to do. It's very overwhelming. Just these lost Psalms of David is a big undertaking. Going through a fine-tooth comb of that entire scroll is an undertaking. But we're getting there. We're getting there. And I want to publish this book because I just had to finish the preface and figure out how to format a book and do all that kind of stuff. I don't know. Not easy alone. Anyway, that's my ramble, guys. So thanks for tuning in. I just wanted to share kind of where I've been at. The writings of Abraham, I am astounded. I don't know where that text came from. And it is so parallel, a reflection of this mysterious text of the lost book of the prophet Elijah. It's just like, where do these texts come from? It has to be true because they're not even related to each other. And we see it in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and we can confirm it in Yasher and Jubilees. And once we're able to see that, then that opens the door to seeing this stuff in our standard Bibles. That's where I'm coming from. It's a matter of discernment. So, all right, guys, thanks for tuning in. That's my ramble. Yah bless you.